what is the computer security? Basically, computer security includes three parts. Okay, so one is hardware, software security, mainly software security. Another is the network security. The third part is the cryptography. Okay, the three part is not they have some intersection or overlap. It's in data communication network. Right now, use encrypted data is common, like HTTPS. And no much. I mean, some private websites still use the HTTP, no encryption, but that's not safe. Okay, so with also software, cryptography algorithm, basically the software package, right? They are related. So, but computer security can be divided by the three parts. So we will not talk a little bit about cryptography algorithm because you already took applied cryptography, right? We mainly focus on the two parts, software security and network security. Our lab mainly focus on the two. Okay, the first lab, SQL injection, basically the software and web security. Okay, so it's really related to network security. Okay, so the three of them, and you can see some books. There are some books only called network security. They focus on network. Some books are called computer security. They mainly focus on software and hardware security. Maybe they also talk about network security. And but the network security mainly focus on network with data communication. Okay, so and for cryptography, right now there are some symmetric key cryptography and asymmetric key cryptography. Okay, so you learned that. So we will not talk a lot of only one day. I will do a quick at the end. We also talk about a public key infrastructure and a mode of operation, which you may not learn in applied cryptography. That's related to security. Okay, so let's continue anytime if you have any questions. So you can start talking. Okay. So let's do a quick review about the network protocol and equipment. Okay, so based on open system, the interconnection, it is an organization. It models is 7 layers. Okay, so it's from top application layer, presentation layer, session layer, transport layer, network layer, data link layer, and physical layer. So each layer basically it had functionality and also had a purpose. Okay, so but we only we not care much about the presentation layer, the session layer. Usually we only, for example, we only care about the application layer and the transport layer or even network layer. Okay, so for example, you can programming for using even like a Python to directly create a layer 4 TCP UDP packet, right? Send out, which means you don't care about the presentation layer and the session layer. Then what a presentation layer and session layer do usually, and because it's a logic layer, which you cannot clearly see it or touch it. Okay, so that's only logic layer, which means the presentation layer usually and perform the encryption and decryption. Okay, so and the session layer usually maintain the connection and between two devices. Okay, so or manage the connection, right? So I mean, there's the like a TCP. If there's the TCP connection, then the session layer will manage the TCP connection. Okay, so that's based on OSI model. But in reality, sometimes the presentation layer and the session layer is they combine the three top layers in one layer, which in application layer. That's like here. Okay, so we say the called TCP IP model. Okay, here the called TCP IP conceptual layer, which is some books or some journal they call it TCP IP model. Okay, the left side is the OSI model. The right side they call it TCP IP model, which means after the transport layer, all of them is called application layer. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, like you can use Python or C programming from either Windows or Linux to directly connect to transport layer, which to produce a packet, right? And use the socket. I mean, the like a socket name, TCP or UDP to define different packet, right? So then you can connect to, if you know the other side of IP address, you can directly send a thing, or also know the open port number, you can directly connect to the other side. If other side of the port is listen to the port, okay, which is the server listen to the port, then you can make a connection. Okay, so but in our lab, we mainly focus on the TCP IP model. Okay, so we will not talk. I mean, this you already learned in network course. Okay, so we only use the protocol. We will not talk more about protocol. Okay, if you have not taken the network course, I think you need to work hard. Otherwise, for all the labs, you will be I mean, it's harder for you to understand. Okay, so you need to have basic network protocol knowledge.